Hello friend, myself Sanjeev Dwivedi on behalf of Vidyalankar Institute of Technology. I welcome you all in this Java session. In this session, we are going to talk about method overriding in Java. Now, what do you mean by method overriding and how overriding is different from overloading? We will see it first. Now, consider this. Now, suppose we have class A and class A has function void f1 that takes two integer and it returns sum of x and y, and it has another function void f1 that takes three integer and it returns, let's say, product of all. Now, this is example of overloading in the sense that class A has two function with the same name but different prototype. Now, when I say prototype, I'm talking about here the difference is in number of arguments. They can also differ in data types. This is overloading. And now if I'm using the object a1 equals to new a, if I'm using a1 equals to new a, and I write a1 dot f1 10 comma 20, it will simply call this f1 because I passed two argument. A1 dot f1 30 40 50, it will call this one. So that's overloading, and it is example of compile time polymorphism. It is polymorphism. Now, what do you understand by polymorphism? Polymorphism in a simple word means confusion. Now, confusion arising due to multiple forms. People normally say polymorphism is many forms, but what will happen if we have many forms of a particular item? So if you have many form of a particular item, then it will give rise to confusion. Now here, using the object, I'm calling a function f1. My class has two version of f1, one that takes two integer, another that takes three integer. Now at the time of calling the function, I am passing certain arguments. And based on these arguments, it can decide which function to call. So here, the polymorphism, the confusion is getting resolved at compile time. And hence we say it is example of compile time polymorphism. Now, what is overriding here? So this is overloading. Now, what is overriding here? Let's see. Now, suppose we have class A. Now, overriding will come into effect only in case of inheritance. Now, suppose we have class A and we have a function void f1 that simply says system.out.println f1 of A. Now, suppose you have class B that inherits class A. Now, class B inherits class A. So the f1 function of class A is now available in B also. Class B will have one version of function f1 of class A. Class B, if desired, can create a new version of the existing function f1. So here we can write void f1 SOP f1 of B. So ideally speaking, now class B will have two versions of f1. One version of class A, another version of class B. So class B has two f1. A's version will say f1 of A, B's version will say f1 of B. But using the object of class B, B1 equals to new B, if I am calling B1 dot f1, it will always call the class B version of f1. So here, when I call B1 dot f1, the output will be f1 of B. Now what happens here, try to understand. Class B will have another function f1 with the same name, but mind you, here the return type also matches and argument list also matches. A's version does not take any argument. Even B's version does not take any argument. So what do we have here is, in overloading, the difference was in number of arguments and prototype. In overriding, it is not like that. The argument must match, the prototype must be remain same, and even the return type must remain same. So this is about overriding. We'll say class B overrides F1 function of class A. Now, consider this. Overriding, what it says, if child class has the same method as declared in the parent class, is known as method overriding. If subclass provides specific implementation of a method that has been provided by one of its parent class, मतलब same method है, उसका argument list भी same है, return type भी same है. Now method overloading is an example for runtime polymorphism. Now we will discuss it how in due course, but remember, overloading is an example of compile time polymorphism. Overriding is an example of runtime polymorphism. Now just have a look at this. Now what do we have here is, we have class vehicle. Class vehicle overrides of class vehicle has a function run, and output is vehicle is running. So when run function of vehicle class is called, output will be vehicle is running. Now bike is a vehicle, so bike 2 extends class vehicle, and it will have the vehicle class run function, but here it overrides and creates a new version which says bike is running safely. So in main, I created object of bike 2, and if I say object dot run, object is object of bike 2, it will call this function, bike is running safely. So what we say, bike 2 overrides run method of class vehicle. The same example that we have taken. This is about method overriding. Now there is interesting called as final variable, final methods. Now what is final variable? Now in a class, suppose in a class, if you say class A and you declare a variable int x equal to 10. Now this variable is initialized with initial value 10, which can be changed during the course of the program. But if you declare it as final int x equal to 10, this becomes similar to what we studied, const int x equal to 10 of C++. So once we write constant means the value cannot change. The same goes with final variable here. The value of final variable cannot be changed. Final variable behave like class variable, matlab it behaves like a static variable that do not take any space in individual object of the class. See, if you can recall what we discussed in static is, it does not occupy any memory in object. So similarly, final variable behave like that. Now the only difference is static we declare using static keyword, final we declare using final keyword. Static value can change but will remain same for all the object. Final value cannot change. So if we declare it as like final int size equal to 100, then value of x remains 100 throughout and cannot be changed. And if you attempt to change the value, it will result into error. This is about final variable. Now final method. In the last example of overriding, what we seen? See here. Here class vehicle was having a run method. Class bike 2 overrides vehicle, extends vehicle and overrides the method run. Here because it was allowed, the derived class can override the method of base class here. Now suppose you don't want this to happen. So you can declare a variable as final. Making a method final ensures that the functionality defined in this method will never be altered. Means if there is a class A, now here, if suppose in this example, if I write something like this, final void run, it means that now this run method functionality cannot be altered. So if any class that extends vehicle and it tries to override run method, it will generate error message. See, class bike 2 will have run method. Yeah, so if I call obj.run, it will call run of vehicle because it cannot recreate its own version of run method. Why? Because it is declared as final. So if you declare a data member as final, it means that the value of the data member cannot be changed. And if you declare a method as final, it means that the method cannot be overridden in derived class. Now this is about we have seen overriding and final method and final variable. For detail, you can refer complete reference by Herbert Schill. And thank you very much. Thank you.